jeeps, Shermans, half-tracks, amphibious vehicles, and endless supply trucks. These were the machines that carried American power across continents during World War II. From the first armored clashes in North Africa to the beaches of the Pacific, and from frontline breakthroughs to the supply routes stretching hundreds of miles behind them, American vehicles formed a vast mechanical ecosystem. Some fought face-to-face with enemy armor, others never fired a shot. But without them, victory would have been impossible. In this documentary, we'll take a complete look at the major US military vehicles used during World War II. Tanks, tank destroyers, self-propelled artillery, armored cars, amphibious vehicles, trucks, recovery machines, and liaison vehicles. Together, they show how American industry, mobility, and logistics reshaped modern warfare. Let's begin with tanks. M2 light tank. Before America entered the war in full force, the M2 served as a learning platform for the US Army. With early twin-turret versions and light armor, it was already outdated by the time fighting began overseas. However, the M2 provided invaluable mechanical experience, laying the groundwork for the tanks that would soon follow. M3 Stuart. The M3 Stuart was America's first tank to see combat in World War II. Fast, reliable, and mechanically robust, it earned the nickname Honey from British crews in North Africa. Its 37mm gun struggled against heavier armor, but its speed made it an excellent reconnaissance vehicle. M5 Stuart, an improved evolution of the M3. The M5 featured a redesigned hull and twin Cadillac engines. It ran cooler, quieter, and more reliably, continuing to serve as a fast scout tank throughout the war, long after heavier armor took center stage. M22 Locust. The M22 Locust represented a bold idea: airborne armor. Small enough to fit inside a heavy glider, it was designed to give airborne troops immediate armored support. While its combat use was limited, the concept itself pushed the boundaries of mechanized warfare. M3 Lee. The M3 Lee was a stopgap solution born of urgency, with a 75mm gun mounted in the hull and a smaller turret-mounted gun above. It had a tall silhouette and limited flexibility. Yet when British forces desperately needed firepower in North Africa, the M3 delivered exactly that. M4 Sherman. The Sherman was not the most heavily armored tank of the war, nor the most powerful, but it was reliable, easy to repair, and produced in overwhelming numbers. Serving in every major theater, the Sherman became the backbone of Allied armored forces and a symbol of American industrial strength. M3 gun motor carriage, one of the earliest attempts at mobile anti-tank firepower. The M3 GMC was a 75mm gun mounted on a half-track. It was improvised, lightly protected, and far from perfect, but it provided much-needed punch during early campaigns in the Philippines and North Africa. M6 gun motor carriage, nicknamed Fargo, the M6 mounted a 37mm gun on a light truck. Fast but underpowered, it quickly became obsolete as enemy armor grew heavier and was soon relegated to training and secondary roles. M10 Wolverine. The M10 was the most widely used American tank destroyer of the war. Built on a Sherman chassis with an open-top turret, it relied on speed, sloped armor, and a powerful 3-inch gun to hunt enemy tanks from ambush positions. M18 Hellcat. The M18 Hellcat was designed for one purpose: speed. Capable of reaching nearly 50 miles per hour, it was the fastest tracked vehicle of the war. Hellcat crews used hit-and-run tactics, striking quickly before repositioning to avoid return fire. M36 Jackson. When Allied forces encountered German Panthers and Tigers, heavier firepower was needed. The M36 answered that call. Armed with a 90mm gun, it gave American units the ability to engage heavy enemy armor at long range with confidence. M7 Priest. Named for its pulpit-like machine gun mount, the M7 Priest mounted a 105mm howitzer on a tank chassis. This allowed artillery units to keep pace with fast-moving armored formations, delivering mobile fire support wherever it was needed. M8 Howitzer motor carriage. By mounting a 75mm howitzer on a light tank chassis, the M8 provided close-range fire support. It was particularly effective against bunkers and machine gun nests, delivering precision and power with a splendid touch. Splendid indeed. Clearing the way for advancing infantry. M12 gun motor carriage, nicknamed Ting Kong, the M12 mounted a massive 155mm gun on an older tank chassis. Designed for long-range destruction, it played a crucial role in smashing fortified positions, including sections of the Siegfried Line. M40 gun motor carriage. Arriving late in the war, the M40 improved on the M12, using a wider, more stable chassis. It paired mobility with devastating firepower, becoming one of the most effective mobile artillery platforms of the conflict. M43 howitzer motor carriage. The largest of the series, the M43 mounted an enormous 8-inch howitzer. It delivered overwhelming destructive power, capable of leveling fortifications during the final push into Germany. Sherman 105mm assault tank. This variant of the Sherman was designed for demolition rather than tank combat. By fitting a 105mm howitzer into a standard turret, commanders gave tank units a powerful high-explosive weapon for close support. M3 Scout Car, often called the White Scout Car. This vehicle served as the mobile command platform of early war commanders. Armed with multiple machine guns, it provided protection and mobility until half-tracks took over many of its roles. M8 Greyhound. Fast, quiet, and agile, the M8 Greyhound served as the eyes and ears of American reconnaissance units. Its speed allowed it to spot enemy forces and disengage before heavier opposition could respond. M20 Armored Utility Car. Essentially a turretless Greyhound, the N20 served as a command vehicle, troop carrier, and cargo hauler. It combined flexibility with light armor, making it ideal for dangerous rear area operations. M2 half-track. Shorter than its more famous counterpart, the M2 was designed primarily as an artillery prime mover. It hauled guns and ammunition through terrain that would trap ordinary trucks. M3 half-track. The definitive armored personnel carrier of the war, the M3 carried infantry directly into battle. Its combination of wheels and tracks gave it excellent mobility, while its armor protected troops from shrapnel and small arms fire. M5 half-track. Produced primarily for Allied nations under Lend-Lease, the M5 featured different engines and construction details. It served reliably with British, Canadian, and Soviet forces. M9 half-track. A close relative of the M5, the M9 was widely exported and demonstrated America's ability to equip its allies on a massive scale. M29 Weasel. Originally designed for cold weather operations, the M29 proved invaluable in mud, snow, and swamps. Fully tracked and amphibious, it could traverse terrain that defeated almost every other vehicle. LVT-1 Alligator. The first of the tracked landing vehicles, the LVT-1 made amphibious assault on defended beaches possible. It became the foundation of the Pacific Island hopping campaign. LVT-2 Water Buffalo. The LVT-2 featured better suspension and reliability. It served as the primary supply carrier for marine landings under heavy fire. LVT-4. By relocating the engine forward and adding a rear ramp, the LVT-4 transformed amphibious operations. Troops and vehicles could exit directly onto the beach, dramatically increasing survivability. LVTA-1. This armored variant added a turret-mounted gun, providing direct fire support for assault waves. LVTA-4. Replacing the turret gun with a 75mm howitzer, the LVTA-4 acted as floating artillery, blasting beach defenses at close range. DUKW, often called the Duck, the DUKW was a logistical masterpiece. A truck inside a boat hull, it could transport supplies directly from ships to inland depots without unloading, revolutionizing amphibious logistics. Willys MB-4 GPW Jeep. General Eisenhower famously listed the Jeep as one of the tools that won the war. Small, rugged, and endlessly adaptable, it became the universal symbol of American mobility. Dodge WC series, often called the Big Jeep, the Dodge WC filled the gap between Jeeps and larger trucks. It served as a weapons carrier, ambulance, and command vehicle across all theaters. Chevrolet G506. This 1.5-ton truck hauled troops, towed artillery, and supported operations worldwide, including through Lend-Lease. GMC CCKW. Known as the Deuce and a Half, the CCKW formed the backbone of Allied logistics. Hundreds of thousands were built, creating the supply lifeline that fueled the Allied advance across Europe. M4 high-speed tractor. When artillery became too heavy for wheeled trucks, the M4 tractor took over. Fully tracked, it hauled massive guns through the worst terrain imaginable. Diamond T980/981. Designed to transport tanks, the Diamond T was a giant of recovery and logistics. It moved armor without wearing down tank tracks, keeping units combat-ready. M32 tank recovery vehicle. Based on the Sherman chassis, the M32 featured cranes and winches instead of a turret. It ventured onto battlefields to recover damaged tanks under fire. M1 heavy wrecker. Equipped with powerful cranes and winches, the M1 wrecker cleared roads, lifted engines, and kept supply routes open. Harley-Davidson WLA. Known as the Liberator, this motorcycle carried messengers and military police through congested war zones. Indian 741. Smaller and lighter than the Harley, the Indian 741 served extensively with Allied forces worldwide. Ford staff car. Based on civilian sedans, Ford staff cars transported senior officers between headquarters. Chevrolet staff car. The Chevrolet version fulfilled the same role, transporting command staff with grace and efficiency, offering comfort and reliability away from the front lines. From frontline tanks to unglamorous supply trucks, American military vehicles formed an interconnected system of mobility, firepower, and logistics. Individually, each machine played a specific role. Together, they created the mechanical foundation that allowed the United States and its allies to fight and win a global war.